Testing, testing, testing. Just give me a quick thumbs up if you could in the chat, if you guys can hear me. I was having some computer issues, so I had to reboot a couple of times. My monitor array, for some reason, wasn't coming up. And I don't know if the mic is working. So if you guys could, I see my gauge is going off. It tells me I am getting some kind of sound coming in, but I don't know if that's making its way to you guys. So if you could just give me a thumbs up or say, you betcha we can hear you. Thanks, Dave Goddard. Appreciate that, bud. Okay, let's fire away real quick. Unfortunately, guys, I wish the markets were moving a little bit more than what they are. But I think we're just seeing a little bit of indecision right now, right before the elections. So just keep in mind that the U.S. Midterm elections are tomorrow, and so you've obviously got a lot of candidates in the U.S. who are, around all of the states who are vying for position, and so we could see a little bit more sideways price action until that all gets sorted out. So this is obviously when Trump came into power, or into where was that? November. Where I can't remember. It was one of these days in here where Trump came in, and the markets basically spilled, and then they just came right back up to where they were again. I can't remember when he got elected. It was early November of last year, or October of last year. Anyway, I don't think we're going to get any crazy price fluctuations or anything like that, but I also don't think there's going to be a whole lot happening, especially with some of the U.S. cross pairs. So I'll take a look at the U.S. dollar, Euro USD, pound dollar, and U.S. CAD, the usual suspects. But again, it's not much is happening. Monday was an inside trading day when compared to the previous Friday before, and so far Tuesday just opened up here for London Open about 25 minutes ago, and so far not making a whole lot of headway. I'm hoping we see one little we had a nice push down last Friday from the analysis that I had discussed in the pre-recorded video on Sunday. Talked about this Friday candle coming in, and so far we haven't had a huge reaction. We did have some nice higher momentum on Monday, but it gave back all of that ground and wound up as a down day on Monday. And again, we're just sort of trading right inside this little range right in here, so not a whole lot to talk about. It's a little bit dull, and I think honestly until these elections take place tomorrow. So let me bring this up real quick so you can see congressional elections all day happening. I'm not sure when the final results come out. I haven't done a whole lot of in-depth digging into when their actual official elections finish, but I would imagine it'd be probably sometime end of day tomorrow. So I would imagine we could see a little bit of that indecision, and maybe see a little bit of price fluctuation, but I don't think it's anything to get too excited about. I think the best days for trading, personally, I think Wednesday will be a pretty good day, and then Thursday I think will be could be a fairly volatile day. Like I was saying, if you're going to get in any trading on Thursday, you definitely want to get it all out and done before these two news items hit, and that's late in the day on Thursday. So plenty of trades obviously before London Open, before the end of the congressional elections, and before this FOMC statement and federal funds rate announcement come out for Thursday. So, and then going into Friday, we should see fairly good price movement, especially on the pound dollar, with GDP, manufacturing, and prelim GDP numbers coming out. So, with that being said, guys, unfortunately, I wished that we would have seen a little bit more movement today. I was hoping that Tuesday was going to be a big day, and Monday would have given us a good setup. So what I wanted to see, and I'll drill down a little bit on the lower time frame for the dollar. I'll put the day dividers on. I wanted to see price. We had some nice momentum downward, which I had anticipated. Again, if you guys had watched the pre-recorded video, I'm looking for price to rebalance lower. And I wasn't sure if we were going to get a rebalance here and then a run higher, or if we were going to continue lower. I didn't want to necessarily see this run out, so this concerns me a little bit. See how we came up and faded out, move higher, and took out some interim consolidation rate over here from last week. Not crazy to see that right off the bat. I'll be honest with you. I think I would have rather have seen this this high come up in here into Tuesday. But with that being said, I think we could have some lower momentum. If this price action rate here, so let's see this consolidation area here, and I'm just going to continue that out. If this area in here gets run up and broken through, and I'm not talking about a wick like this, I'm talking full body breakouts and the close of the bodies of the candles start trading up higher, we should start to see that run higher, and then a challenge for these highs here towards later in the week. But I think we could see a little bit more movement to the downside. I like how we got a touch back down here on Friday and then a nice rejection. And really all I'm looking for is price to come and rebalance a little bit lower. And I'm kind of thinking sort of right down in this area. And I'll put a price tag on this just to sort of give you a reference point. And again, it'll be different somewhat to the broker that you're using. Some brokers I've seen, it could be off by the US dollar index price, could be off from this particular broker that I use by a couple of pips, and some even up to 15 pips. So it just sort of depends on what your particular broker has in store for you. But I'm sort of looking right about this range right here. So wherever this range, this small tiny consolidation range back in here is on your chart, whatever price that is, that's kind of where I'm looking for price to come back down and rebalance at, if we lose this low rate here. Now, if we lose this low down here, then we could potentially come back and re-challenge this low right here. And again, that's not really what I want to see. But this price action rate here, so far, I would have hoped that they did not do this. This, to me, kind of means that this could be bearish, and we could see another run below this low rate here. Again, with the elections tomorrow, this sort of price action in here is probably going to continue into tomorrow, so I don't think we're going to get a real good read off of it. But I'll be watching London, because if we do get a low set in, so what I would hope for would be a weekly range that would sort of, if this is Monday's trading, obviously, so Monday popped up and then traded off and sold off towards the end of the day. And then we see this sort of London Open on Tuesday, come and trade into here. I'd like to see the low of the week, if that is going to be the weekly profile, come in like this, create the low of the week early London Open or mid-London Open. So anywhere between now and New York Open Tuesday morning, I'd like to see a low created and then a rejection and then a run higher on the week. So that's kind of what the weekly profile is, sort of what I hope comes in at. But again, this block of price action kind of concerns me a little bit. I just was hoping that they would not have taken those highs and then run. I would have liked them to come down and run the lows first and then try to take those highs, but we'll see. I'm still hopeful. We could see a run higher, but we do have a bit of interesting news on the horizon, so let's just kind of keep the powder dry here for a day or two if we could, before we sink too much into this. And you guys probably can hear my furnace going there. It is minus $1 billion now where I live, and so winter is pretty much here. So from now going on, for the next little while, you could hear my furnace kicking in the background there in my office. So just bear that in mind if it's kind of distracting. I apologize. So going into Euro USD, just sort of recap a little bit. Again, same type of trading idea. I was hoping, and Monday came up actually and pushed in beautifully, or sorry, this was Friday. I was hoping Monday was going to come and push up. We did get a nice push up into here, but I was looking for the 114.40 level to come and get tagged in again. We fell a little bit short, and you know what, let me just clean this up a little bit here. There we go. So I am looking for a high. Give me this candle here. You can see in the bottom right hand corner of my screen. Hopefully if I could get this thing to come up. If you can't, it's bottom right hand corner. High on this candle comes in at 114.23. So it was about 17 pips lower on the high of the day. What I'm hoping, again, similar thing to the US dollar. I'm just sort of looking for a brief move up into this neck of the woods here, and then I'd like to see a move lower. Again, though, here's the thing. See how price came and slammed down in here on Monday's trading, and then traded higher off of that? Not crazy about that. That, to me, doesn't necessarily constitute a bearish continuation pattern in here. I could be wrong again, and the elections could be throwing it out of whack a little bit. But again, I keep an eye on this, because if 1440 gets ran up to, I wouldn't just be selling it just because it goes up into this area yet. Watch price. If price continues through this 1440 area, do not let it go past. Get a reading on this. Just come on. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, about 1480 is sort of, in my mind, a kind of a line in the sand. If price runs up to 1480, I don't want to see it go any higher than 1480. If we go higher than that, then there is a very, very good possibility that I could try to make a run for this interim swing high back up here. And if we make a run for this swing high back up in here, then chances are price may want to rebalance back up towards this consolidation area up in here. So just bear that in mind. And now again, I mean, I am calling, and again, we still haven't taken this low out here. This is my target going forward. Long term, this is the target. But again, just because of these elections, it's throwing things off just a wee bit here. And so again, I was hoping that we would have saw that sort of spike up going into London Open today, and then the rip down. It's sort of doing the opposite. So let's just kind of bear that in mind here, that so we may take a little while to get under this low here. I think that's ultimately where she's going, but let's just be cautious here a little bit and just watch price, study price in this area. Don't be jumping into anything yet. Use a little bit of caution this week, and just kind of hold off and just keep an eye on this. If this is going to be the significant area right in here, we should probably trade back up to this level. If we don't, then that's, so here's the other thing. If we fail to get above this high here going into Tuesday, then more than likely price will just start to roll over from there, and you can get short. Not a problem. But it's when price starts to run and take out this old high here. I'm hoping for just a quick stab up and then a rejection. That's what I'm hoping for. We're going to have to wait and see. So these are the two levels I'm looking at, and I know it's a bit of a discrepancy. It's a fairly big range, 1440 and 1480. That's why I'm suggesting just monitor price when it gets to this level and keep an eye on it. Ideal entry would kind of be right in between these two. If we get a run up to sort of that 1460 level, that's ideal, and then you could put a 20, maybe 30 pip stop on that, and hopefully price would not want to trade up into there, and then we'd see a rollover. So that's sort of what I'm looking. Basically, all I can tell you right now is just watch price in this area here, and then we could start to see a rollover if that is indeed what the weekly profile is going to do. But we could, again, for the 500th time, be getting mixed signals from the elections. Price could just opt to go straight sideways. Just that's the third option, guys. It's either going to go up, it's going to go down, or it's going to go straight sideways. And we know this. And in uncertain times, and in market turmoil, and election cycles and things like that, sometimes a lot of big money and big industries, institutions, they'll just gather prices in these areas like this. Like, see this right here? See this chop sideways? They just gathered that chop up for a week, and then they released price. We had just finished a nice run right here. They could sit on price and gather price for another week, and then make that big smash downward that I'm kind of hoping for down into here. So just bear that in mind. Anyway, without beating that horse to death too much, let's move on to the cable. Look at the cable. Look at the difference in price action between the cable and the euro. Like, you see, we had a nice reaction off the euro, but the cable had such an exponentially bigger move than what the euro did. And this is sort of why I'm thinking here that the euro could be playing catch up to what the cable is doing. I'd like to just kind of run a real quick analysis on euro GBP here in a minute, but again, big reaction, came way past the level that I was looking for. I was looking for a reaction in and around this level here. We did not get it. As you can see, price pushed through, tried to get a rejection candle in here, last Friday, completely failed on Monday, ran up, and now so far Tuesday we're starting to run up again. My line in the sand is basically right about here at the 131.40 level. If price wants to go through 131.40, then pretty good chance that it could be seeking to run these highs out right here. Okay, I'm going to be watching it in here. Again, we had a nice reaction. So when price traded up in here, traded back down, a real brief failure swing up on here last week, and then a nice push downward. We did have price react right in this area at this 130.80 level. So I'm looking to see what they want to do here at this 130.80 level. Do they want to come up and start rejecting at that level? Do they want to push through? And if so, do they want to have enough strength to get up to the 131.40? And if so, are they looking to push through that? Again, that's my line in the sand. I do not want to see price, maybe by a pip or two, and I'm talking like maybe a 5 pip variance. I'd let price go through there, but it sure wouldn't be too much more. Like if price started to get sort of through the middle of this this range in here, I would not be too interested in thinking that price is going to start rolling over. So again, cable, it's just sort of a wait and see. If we trade up into here, I'll be watching to see the reaction. If we do see a bounce, we can trade that down, and I'd be looking for a target somewhere in the neighborhood of right around here at 128. You know what? I'd play that conservatively, and I'd say about 128.60 if we got a reaction at these levels in here. So that'd be a nice run. You know, that'd be about a 200 pip run if you could get an entry somewhere around here. That's if I could get that this week. That'd be all I'd be looking for. But again, pretty bullish price action in the on the cable. So just keep an eye on that. Now the reason for this, again, I'm going to rip over to the Euro GBP real quick. You can see the manipulation on this pair. Look at this. Look at price sell off in here. I mean, we had a nice big bull run on Euro GBP after this sell off, after price rebalanced just under this low, and now look what we're doing. And so what I think they're doing here is I think that they didn't come down and they swept this low here, but they left this low intact. And then we've got these two rejection candles right here. They left those intact. And there's a tiny little area under price right about in here that I believe could be fair game for them to come down. So that's sort of why I'm kind of electing to think, and look at the gap in price right here. Like price came up, big gap down, and we're trading weaker in here. I think there is a real possibility that price could rebalance down at this low right here. And who knows? I mean, we could see some support there. You know, I don't know. We'll have to wait until and see if price does go down to there. But if price moves down on Euro GBP down under these lows here and sweeps these lows, then that's just going to give fuel to the fire in cable and going to see a return more than likely above these two highs in here. So we're kind of at that point right now. It's at it right now. It's going to come up. There's no question in my mind. It's going to come up to this level during Tuesday's trading here. What the reaction that happens at this level is what I'm going to be looking for. If we see bullish continuation, which was what I potentially think we could see on the bearish side of Euro GBP, again, which would give fuel to this to push higher, I don't believe that this 131.40 is going to hold up. So I'm going to elect to hold off and wait and watch price. Same as Euro. I wish I had better setups for you, but unfortunately that's just the cards that we're dealt with. We definitely don't want to be jumping in on any of these trades and just going short here because it comes up to a specific level that I'm talking about. It may see a bounce and a measurable bounce, and maybe you can get 20 pips or 30 pips. Great. But you got to make sure you got to watch for those confirmations and watch for those wicks forming and the unwillingness for price to go above a certain level to get into a price movement. And certainly do not, if price was acting like this was a resistance level up here, I would definitely be keeping a pretty tight stop. I would not be letting price run much more than 131.40. So real quickly, US CAD. So we did have a nice run down. This is what I was looking for on US CAD, and it had a nice reaction too. So I was kind of looking right around that 130.80 level to 130.60, and price kind of finished off right in the middle on this candle here at 130.70, literally right in the middle. which was a stop run underneath this low right here of 130.87. So it was about a 17 pip stop run. I'm going to go from the body. It's about a 15 pip stop run from body to body. And again, this would just be dealer spread on these wicks right here. So about a 15 pip stop run. Nice number, and we did see a fairly healthy reaction at that level. And I mean, this was right from the recorded video. And if you were to have got in on something like that, let's say you even went long here, I mean, that's you'd be up about 30 pips right now. Not bad, not great, but just kind of an easy sort of trade. Again, looking for higher prices on US CAD, but just, hold off, because US CAD, we do have some numbers coming out. Well, it's just IVPMI numbers coming out on Wednesday, medium impact news events, and then we've obviously got crude oil inventory numbers, which will moderately affect the Canadian dollar price as well too. So, I like this rejection. This pattern, this trading pattern right here, this looks good. So you see this, everyone's sitting here thinking, okay, price is acting, this is an area of resistance in here. Price does not want to go higher than these highs in here. We'll put a nice deep low in here, and price is just rebalancing up here, and price is starting to sell off now. And this thing's going to go lower, lower, lower. I don't think so. I think if this price was going to go lower, it would have done it back into here. And I think we got that nice run down in here, and then this rejection here for the Canadian rate announcements. When was that? 2 weeks ago that we all managed to get on a nice trade on. I think that was the run on liquidity back in here. I believe if they were going to drop price any lower, they would have done it here and continued lower. But we saw that rejection happening, and I think their ultimate goal is to take this guy higher. So 132.50, I'm still waiting out for that number. I think that's going to be in the cards, but we got to get past these elections in the U.S. and some more bullish momentum on the part of the U.S. dollar in order to start seeing these numbers hit. So I do like how it could potentially come down and give us one more opportunity to get long on this one. And for the end of the week, if we could get a return back up to this high here, and maybe a 10 pip run above that, that'd be great. And especially if you could pick up if price started to wanted to rebalance back at the 130 90 level, that would be perfect. So I'll be watching this level, see if price wants to trade down to this level here, 130.90. And I don't want to see price go any lower than, I don't want to see price go down any lower than this low again. If price starts smashing past this low, then there's a good chance we could potentially re-challenge these lows in here, and I don't want to see that happen. I'd like to see this is the low on the week, and price stab down one time to make a failure swing, going into Tuesday's trading, and a rejection and a move higher. So that's what I'm looking at for the Canadian dollar. So we'll see how that one pans out. I kind of like this price action in here, but again, just bear in mind, we're waiting on these elections. Price could trade straight sideways until Wednesday, so that may happen. And in which case, I would hold off on these setups. So that's kind of all I'm saying, is just use some caution trading into tomorrow. Keep an eye on the levels that I had discussed. I think we could see a reaction at those levels, but there's a very good chance that I could be wrong and it could trade through. Normal market activity and news events, I'd be a little bit more confident on that. But again, you saw what happened when Trump got elected. We had big price fluctuations in the market, and anything could happen. So just bear that in mind. Okay, moving on. I want to talk about, look at the movement on Aussie dollar. Beautiful bullish price action on Aussie dollar going into last week. Monday was sort of lackluster. It kind of made a little bit of a measly attempt to move higher. But look at that Thursday trading. Usually Aussie does not trade big ranges. And we got a nice 140 pip range on Aussie last Thursday. Beautiful price range. And Dave, actually, to Dave's credit, Dave called this move perfectly last week. I know there's a number of you guys who got in on this move. Yeah, he called it somewhere, I think early last week, when price was trading in here. He was looking for a false swing lower and then a nice breakout to the upside, and hit several targets up in here, and just beautiful trade. Dave called it spot on, so hopefully you guys took advantage of that from last week and got in on that move late in last week's price action there. And I'm, again, going forward, if depending on what the U.S. dollar is going to do, if we do see a further continuation higher on the U.S. dollar, then it should drag the Aussie back down again, and we could make a run for these lows. But look at this stop run right here. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Look at that stop run. So we had equal lows down here. Price came down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in here. Failure to get lower, and then we had price 2 weeks ago smash down and never returned to it again. So very, very, very bullish price action in here, which was doing the exact opposite of what the U.S. dollar was doing for the most part. Let me put it on a weekly. We did give up a little bit of ground last week, but look at the bullish momentum that it had the previous week before. Aussie wasn't really seeing that bearish move. It did see a little bit of a bearish move down, but pretty much chopping sideways. So I don't honestly know if this is going to be a fake breakout. So you can see this here. Look at this trend line. And this could just be a trend line trade up in here. Price coming in, touching it, and then going to reject and go lower. I mean, very real possibility. I'm looking at this as saying more so, well, there was one stop run back in here back in end of September where price came back in and took out everybody going short and ran their stops, and price since then has not come back to do a stop run. Other than, I guess you could technically call this a stop run, and it would have kind of taken out these old swing highs back in here. But for the most part, it hasn't come back. And then they smashed everybody who was short and who tucked up their stops right in here and under here and in here, and just smashed them out of the market. And so what would be the next logical move after they took out everybody's position would be to run it the exact opposite way and run it even lower. And if we're going lower on the Australian dollar, we could be looking at targeting these lows in here ultimately. But again, in order to get down here, the U.S. dollar is really going to have to start making these pushes to get up into our target area in here. And we've already started, so we can get rid of that. So if you are an Australian dollar trader or a big fan, hopefully you guys took advantage of this move that Dave called last week. And going forward, if we do see a decline in the U.S. dollar, we could see a market move higher to potentially scoop up some of these highs in here and in here. But again, they did a stop run right in here, so I'm not super confident that they're going to come back here again. But if they do, you can rest assured that this high, and these three highs in here are all going to be fair game. And I was actually I wanted to see these three highs in here get taken out on this run. So as price was coming down, ripping down, I wanted to see them come back up one more time, scoop all these highs out, and then drop it. We didn't get it, as you can see. So, that to me tells me fairly bearish continuation is going to happen. And that's all this could be here. Just a real quick stop run and then another return lower. So keep an eye on that for Aussie. Any questions? I've got the chat open right here. I've got a couple other Forex pairs open. If there's any other pair in there that you want to chat about, let me know. I'm going to flip the switch and run it over to talk about a couple of commodities real quick, and then I'm going to wrap up this session, because honestly I don't see a lot of super high probability setups for right now, and I want to make sure that we're giving you guys obviously the stuff that's going to pan out. Not, well, it could go here and maybe you can get 20 pips there, and I don't want to trade that way. I want for sure stuff set up to give you guys here. So, and with the elections tomorrow, I'm just not super confident that we're going to see a fluid price action model tomorrow. And so that's why, again, I'm just advising caution tomorrow when trading. I really like this setup, though, here, US CAD more so than the Euro or the pound. So keep an eye on this one. Okay, flipping it over. And I got the chat window open, guys, so if you guys have any questions, too, like I say, I'll be maybe another 5 minutes here, and then I'll wrap it all up so you guys can get on with your day. Crude oil had another nice big dip in price. These were my targets here and this guy here. You can see they easily took that last week. Monday had a nice tractionary move higher. only to reject and come right back down again, and put a lower range in for Monday. And now we're trading in here on Tuesday. Zoom in a little bit here. You can see they just did the stop run right in here. I was actually looking at this, and I was going to take this trade early morning on Monday, but to be honest with you, I had a very, very busy day on Monday, and I took a look at this and I said, this is going to go short. I didn't know how far it was going to go down. I didn't know if we were going to get a run below the old lows from last week or what was going to happen. So I elected to sit on it, and I would have picked up probably. I saw it right in here. As price rejected right here, I was looking at it right here, and I could have picked up about 60 ticks, but whatever. I didn't put it out there. I didn't put a signal because I just, again, wasn't too interested in trading on Monday, to be honest with you. Now, going forward, crude oil, I look at that as a stop run, and I believe anything in the future, I think I'll be watching price rate in, that's not the right price tag, I'll be watching price rate in here to see what it wants to do. Right about there, about the 63.20 level, I'll be watching price at. So $63.20 a barrel for crude oil. I'll be looking to see if there's a reaction that's going to happen at this level. So that's about 30 cents away from right now. I'd be looking to see a rejection at that level, and then price to trade softer and to take out the interim swing low that we had here. Now, keep in mind, though, here's the thing. Keep in mind, look at this. This is a hefty price decline. So I don't want to get into a situation of picking the bottom of a market, or picking or saying that this is going to continue lower. It may not. You know, looking at this, I say, well, you know, there's definitely a rejection area under here. We're this far already. I think if it was going to be a stop run and take out this low and this low, it would have rejected already, and we'd be on our way trading higher again. I personally believe we're going to see lower prices on crude oil. I think we could very easily see the high 50s on crude. But just keep in mind, you know, look at this market structure right in here, okay? So just take a real quick look at this. What my eye is going to is all of the areas of consolidation, okay? So area consolidation right here, area consolidation right there. Area consolidation right in here, and right through the board. All through here, all through here, all through here, all through here. Consolidation levels, okay? Another one right here. Now, just caught it on the tail end right here, but you can see consolidation, consolidation, big consolidation area. Another one here, another one just higher in price than it traded through. Now look what we're coming into again. All right. And this has been an extended range, but consolidation, big consolidation area, big consolidation area. We could see price sit here for another few days and watch this thing chop sideways, and it may not go any higher than 64, and it may not go any lower than 63. It could sort of sit in that dollar range for the rest of the week until it finally decides to pick a direction and then fall out of bed. So bear in mind, just look where we're in. Typically when price returns back down to an area of previous consolidation, if you don't see an instant and immediate reaction the opposite way, or a big continuation push like this through, and price just sort of sits there, then chances are you're going to see the same consolidation happening one more time. Price could reverse, right? We could, and that's what happened in here. So you look at what happened down here. Price came down, consolidated, reversed, shot up, took out the highs, came back down, consolidated for a couple of days, reversed, shot back up, come all the way back down, traded through the previous consolidation areas. Now we're back into another one. It could sit back down here. It could reverse. I hope crude oil does reverse. You know, and energy stocks start going higher, and everything starts running again, because overall I am bullish crude oil. But again, it's been a very, very long time, and I've said this before several times, it's been a very long time since we've had a big, deep retracement on crude oil, and I think it's due. So right now, just sort of talking geopolitically as well too, we've got a little bit of turmoil in OPEC. They're meeting here shortly to discuss production. You've got Iran sanctions that just hit today that, you know, some people are saying it's really not doing anything because they're still selling their oil privately to companies and you know, straight outright to other countries. They're just, screw you, U.S., you can't put sanctions on us. We're still going to sell our oil. You know, who are you to tell us what we can and can't do? They're going to sell it in other currencies and do whatever they can to circumvent that. And not to mention, if you start curbing the output from Iran, you start to destabilize Iraq, and on and so forth. And Russia gets involved, and China gets involved, and it's just a giant mess. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how half the time any of these people can keep up with what's going on in the world oil markets, because it's just a non-stop soap opera. I mean, literally, it's like daytime soap operas. There's always something going on, and there's always some sort of drama, and it's always some reason or another why these analysts get on here and say the price of crude is dropping or the price of crude is rising because of this, that, and the other thing. Well, I think it's all a farce. I think it's a big smoke and mirrors, to be honest with you, and I believe price is honestly dictated for this commodity. It's not based on supply and demand. It's just based on a cartel, essentially, that dictate price and say we're smashing price or we're raising price. That's all there is to it. So right now you've got some pretty serious production outputs that have been ramped up. You've got the U.S. shale production that's just kicking into high gear. Russia's increasing outputs, and they have been for the past couple of months, and supplies that were dwindled down after this big move up are starting to get replenished again, and so that's what's starting to push price down. And now you've got OPEC meeting again here, talking about production cuts and starting to curb this downward trend that we're seeing here. So all of this talking here that I'm doing is basically just saying I don't think that this is personally the bottom. I think we have a little more to go. It may take them a couple of days to get there. Price could trade sideways. And I'm kind of thinking that they may be rebalancing under here. This was a nice healthy return lower down here, and a nice resulting bullish movement upward. We came down, took out a lot of stops underneath the market right here, so I would expect that they would be looking at some form of balancing price in this area in here before they started to run it up. So that's really all I'm saying on crude oil. Now if we go down to a lower time frame, so like I was saying to you, this setup would be something that I'd be looking at. I would be looking at this as a stop run. So I don't want to see price go any higher than here. So this red line that I've got at 63.50, I would allow price to potentially go maybe to 55, 63.55. Where, if I can get that on the chart here, close enough. I would leave that as a, I'd watch price in here. 63.20 is just sort of a guideline. I'm kind of saying somewhere in this area in here. It could be up to 63.30 that they may want to run price. Somewhere in that area, I'd be looking at some sort of form of resistance in that location, and price to create a failure swing, and then a run lower and a run underneath these levels here. That's what I'm looking for. But again, right, we could see consolidation happen, and they may just sit on price and just watch price do this for the next, you know, couple of days. So but I'll be watching that anyway, putting alerts out, and I'm hoping that this was the stop run above here, and we should see lower prices continue. My target, if price goes and decides to do a failure swing at that 63.20 to 63.30 level, my target is these two equal lows right here. 61, I'll give you actually an exact, so on my chart anyway, this low comes in at 61.80 for all intents and purposes. I'd be taking my profits off there, so getting about a $2.50, potentially $2.60 cent move on crude oil to the downside. Nice target on the week. If you can get that, congratulations. I'd be done for the week if we got in and did that, if price gave that to us. And then lower from there, we'd have to sort of wait until next week to see if price wants to get smashed down one more time and return under these lows where I've honestly been calling for a very long time now. And, you know, who knows? Every day they keep moving price lower in crude oil. Every day that this target becomes more of a potential. So I hope they don't go down to this price, but I think this one for sure will get taken out, this previous swing low right there. So that's sort of my thoughts on crude oil. I know I'm kind of taking a little bit longer to do some analysis here, but I'm just trying to help you guys out as best as I can, because again, with these elections, there's going to be a little uncertainty here. So I think a little more time maybe needed to be taken for some analysis this week. I'll let Dave analyze gold. Read some very interesting stuff on gold that I posted to our chat room. If you are part of our chat room, you've got some of that information that I had sent to you there. Do a little research on there. There's a couple of fairly big names out there that are calling for potential big moves in gold markets. So who knows? It could be interesting to see what happens there. Watch this level though, real quick on gold. We may see a reaction at the 123 level. 122 to 123. I'll just put 123 for all intents and purposes in here. Watch that level on gold. We could see a reaction on that one there. I like this bullish momentum out of here. I'll let Dave talk about this more tomorrow, going into Wednesday. He'll be back for a New York trading session at 9 o'clock, 9 to 9:30 New York time on Wednesday morning. So he'll discuss in detail gold, his thoughts on that. And if you've been following him lately, he's been very, very bullish on gold, and rightly so. But keep an eye on this level here. You could see something nice happen there. So I'll leave it at that. S&P, look at how much S&P has been getting smashed. I'm kind of curious if this level will hold up as resistance, or if they'll move price down one more time on that. Anyway, wanted to talk about copper. Copper. Very, very nice bull movement here. I was looking for this price. I didn't think it was going to come down this deep on this run down here last week, but it did rebalance at a great level. And look at the beautiful reaction that happened on there. So again, I'm looking for continued higher prices on copper. I'd like it to come down, this small consolidation level in here. I'd really like them to come down one more time and pick up some levels in there. So that's sort of what I'm going to be watching for on copper, is just a real simple move down, gain some support in that area, and then a continuation higher. Now, if price breaks 120, what am I reading here? 260, call it 269. Let me just give an even number here. No, not quite that low. I want to rate about here, about 269.80. Yeah, right about there. I'm going to be watching this level here if price wants to trade down here, which I think it kind of will, because you kind of see how price is building up a floor right in here. That to me is just, I mean, prime location for a stop run. So if they do drop price down in here, I'd want price to run down very quickly, very efficiently, and then start to put in some wicks and reject quickly and run higher. That to me is a very, very strong bullish move and a continuation up higher, and a potential run for these equal highs right in here is my target. But I want to see what happens at that level. I'd like to see a reaction ensue, but I'll be watching the 269.80 level to see if it wants to get lower than that. And if it does want to get lower than that, then just keep in mind there's a couple of lows right here. See these two relatively equal lows right here? They could want to come back down and rebalance price just under there. So I just don't want you to get into a position where you take a long here and price really starts to run on and you think, oh no, it's going to be returned back down here. They may just want to rebalance underneath these two relatively equal lows under here and then continue and just stop, reject, and then go higher. So just watch that. Keep an eye on those two levels on crude. I would elect personally to be more cautious on this one because you can see deeper runs lower, which is what we saw last week. I was expecting price to start running higher from this rejection down in here, and it just came and smashed down one more time before it rejected. So that's the type of thing that can happen in copper. Price is fairly efficient that way, so I would not honestly be surprised if we came down and just swept that low right under there one time and then rejected higher. So that's sort of what I'm looking at for on copper. Cocoa, we're still seeing nice continued bullish movement on cocoa. I would assume that they're going to come in and take out this high, this interim high right here. And from there, I'd have to look at some seasonalities on cocoa and look at some more fundamental factors. But hey, we're going into Christmas. It's all hot chocolate and candy and chocolate for the kids here coming up. So cocoa could be in pretty high demand. So there's a couple of things I'm going to look for here because of the news and everything else going on this week. Again, most of the trade setups and trade probabilities are going to be happening after Tuesday. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sit down if I get a little bit of time, and I'm going to run through some more analysis, in-depth analysis on a couple other commodities, cocoa, coffee being one, cotton, orange juice. I'll have a look at some of the meats. I'll have a look at some of the other softs. I'll have a look at some of the grains. Some wheat and some rice and things like that, and kind of give you my overall market analysis. I'll just do some real quick stuff for you, and I'll give you some idea as to what could be coming up for some of the major commodity pairs, kind of like this move on sugar that I was looking at here. Nice bullish move. We are seeing some downward trajectory. I'd like to see price rebalance in here. If we can get price to come down to this level right down here, then hopefully see some sort of a bounce at that level. That's something, a future setup I'm looking at for sugar. Again, we're coming into the Christmas season. A lot of candy going out there, getting produced, getting bought, getting bought up by consumers, and really driving the market. And that could be the lead up into this fall and winter months that we're seeing into Christmas here. So just keep that in mind. We could see some bullish price action in sugar to continue. But we could see it rebalance a little bit lower before it goes higher. So, but also keep in mind, we took out a pretty significant area right in here. See that old high that just got taken out right there, and price rebalanced but failed to get above these levels here. We could see it move a little bit deeper, so just watch that level in there. And finally, nat gas. I could talk about Bitcoin too, but there's nothing going on in Bitcoin. The cryptos, they're just, what they're doing with, sorry, I'll talk about nat gas in 1 second. You can see what they're doing with the cryptos. They're just wearing down the market. And honestly, I'm reading a lot of forums and everything. There's a lot of people who are super bullish and super excited about crypto. And just because of all the steam that's come out of Bitcoin here, a lot of the momentum is worn off. But you can see what they're doing. Like, they're just squeezing and pinching price and just squeezing it down. I mean, look at this. Look at this wedge this thing is forming here. It's pretty impressive what they're doing. Price will go lower. If I haven't made myself clear enough on that before, I'm doing it again now. Price will go lower in crypto. Don't buy it yet. Just hang on. I think they're going to smash price down one more time here. And this could be the big wind up as they rip price down and clear out everybody before they start running it higher. Who knows when it's going to happen? It could keep doing this till the end of the year, and then they do that next year. I mean, you look at this price action, this big run up in here. This is right after, or right before Christmas last year, right? December, what was it, the 18th that it did that big run up, and then price, like letting the air out of a balloon, just deflated everything right here. So we could see some price action happening closer to Christmas, and driving it down. We'll have to wait and see on that one. And then, sorry, I skipped over nat gas, only because this is exactly what I was talking about in terms of a gap fill. Sometimes when you get these big bull price movements, we don't always get those gap fills right away, and you can see that's exactly what happened. See, price basically almost moved up the same amount that it gapped in here higher. So they obviously they've got a mission on nat gas, and they want to get nat gas higher. They just took out this old swing high in here. And it's nice bullish momentum. So this again is another chart that I'm going to put on my list that I want to do some more long-term analysis for and find out where we're at seasonally and everything else. So see if we have any potential to move higher for nat gas. We are going into the winter months, and you know, natural gas is used for heating and everything else, and so we could see this thing move much higher. I mean, look at this move in here from December of last year, hitting the lows to hitting these highs in January. A very quick, sharp movement upwards. That's exactly what we're seeing right in here as well too. A little bit earlier than last year, but nonetheless a nice big bull move. So depending on where they want to take it, natural gas prices have been very suppressed for a long time, and so they could be finally starting to move out of this market here. Anyway, that's what I've got for you guys. So hopefully I covered enough pairs for you to kind of give you a little bit of ammo and some stuff to look at for the next couple of days here anyway. I'll be analyzing the charts as much as I can. I've got a pretty busy day going into tomorrow with some meetings and things like that. And again, good time because I'm not personally doing any trading tomorrow with the elections going on, but I will be watching price. If I see something that I think is going to be a lock, I'll definitely shoot out a note into the chat room and kind of let you know, what pair and sort of the level that I was talking about with a screenshot if I think something good is going to happen. And if I'm watching it and I don't see anything good happen, I won't send anything out. But I'll be back again. I might even do a real quick commentary sort of this time tomorrow, or sorry, this time Tuesday evening, going into Wednesday London Open. And I kind of said that a little bit confusing. This in 12 hours from now, 24 hours from now, I may do a real quick review for Wednesday London Open. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry about that, guys. It's been a long day. Anyway, I may jump on and just do some real quick commentary just to kind of discuss what's happened after those elections, all the results have come in, and see if we see any market movements and see any potential setups that we could be taking for going into Wednesday. And then Dave, of course, he'll be back for a Wednesday New York Open for sure to talk specifically about S&P and gold. So I don't see a whole lot of questions tonight. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Appreciate your time, coming in right under an hour, which is nice. I'll let you guys get on with your day. Appreciate your time, and if you have any questions moving forward, shoot me a note. You guys know how to get a hold of me. Thanks very much for your time, and we'll catch up to you this time tomorrow. Thanks very much.